Hi, this is Tweek. On this week's episode of Tweeks with Tweek, we're going to work again with fleece, only this time I'm bringing a new angle to it. Join us. Supplies you'll need for this project are fleece, that would be the colors of your choice. You will need a Fiskars 1/16 inch hand puncher, a crochet hook, I'm using a size G, also some fray check, and a yarn of your choice to complement the fleece colors you're using. So let's get started. I love working with fleece and I love making the fleece blankets. This idea came about not only because of the high cost of fleece, it goes up and up, so I'm using remnants, and this little remnant from a penguin blanket I had made, I liked the colors in it, so I started finding colors that matched. So I've got some blues, a white, and a lemony lime color, and I got the idea. I have done in the past, made blankets with squares. That's nice, but I wanted to take it a step further, and I went with the triangles. This was inspired too as we're traveling and saw some of the barn art, which is beautiful art of quilt patterns that you could see along your way displayed on various barns and sheds. And I liked that idea, so I thought, let's take my scraps, make some triangles, and hitch them together. First I had to do was come up with a plan. And I found this online. This is just a quilt pattern. You could go with any pattern that you'd like to see. And I liked this one. So I knew instead of a 3x3 inch that's shown here, I would go by 6-inch squares. So I started cutting them out. And to show you that, I'll just take one here. And I've got a 6x6 inch square. And I just folded it into a triangular shape on itself. And since these are all going to be crocheted around, I'm not too concerned about it being totally even. It's going to be a little jagged, that's fine because the yarn will take care of that. And I just run my scissors up the center, hanging onto it, and I end up with my two triangles. Next, since I have my pattern in mind, I laid it all out. And this is the pattern I came up with. As you can see, now this example here does not have my little penguin pieces in it, but the final product does. So I wanted to show you this as an example. When you get it this far, you lay out your pattern and you have your squares all cut into triangles, and then have some fun. Oh my gosh, I spent quite a few hours just playing around with this pattern and the different colors that within it. I had 12, at least 13 different ideas as what colors to use, but I kept coming back to the colors that were in that little penguin. So I've got the limey yellow, I've got the whites and the blues, and then some dark blue, almost black and navy. So once you get it laid out, it's a very simple matter of taking these little triangles and punching around them. Let me show you that. Take the one we just used, and I just start. This is where you're punching. Try to keep a regular punch on here. The way I do that is I come up about, maybe 1/8 of an inch from the corner, whichever corner you start on, and I give a punch. And then I use the puncher itself, that edge, and line it up with the hole I just punched. And as I go along, I try to keep 1/4 of an inch up from the edge. Don't worry about going too far, because when you add the yarn, it all comes out all right. I'm to the corner here. Keep punching. Get to the corner. Now I'm not punching to the very edge of that corner, but I'm going to pick up where I left off there. This is the third side. There you go. We have it punched. Next, we take the color of yarn you'd like to use, and I chose this light. I like this light green lime color. And then what you can do too is as you go along and get these squares all cut out and you go around them with the yarn, then you hitch them together. And let me show you how we do that. Okay, so I have a few here that I already went around Now, from wherever the corner you start on, I'm going to come back 1 or 2 holes from that edge, from the corner, and I pull my yarn through, and I'm going to make a knot, very simple knot. This goes back to a very simple stitch, single crochet stitch. Okay, put my hook through under that knot and bring through, and you have a loop, and bring yarn through. Go to the next, bring through, bring through. Now we're at the corner, and I'm going to put 4 stitches into that little hole. Fleece will accommodate that much, so let's go. That's why I don't want to punch too close to the edge, because sometimes the fleece won't accommodate, so you got to give the fleece a little bit of an edge there. And I will fit in 1, 2, see a little piece of fabric that was there kind of folds in, 3, 4. These edges aren't going to be super crisp like you would find in an actual quilt, but I kind of like that the edges are a little bit round with the yarn. I like that. So here we go. We've got 4 stitches in that last stitch, and we're just going to follow down the side here, and we finish all the way around, which I did. When you get that done, so now we have 2 to put together. There really isn't a right or wrong side to this. When it's all put together, it looks just fine. So what I'm going to do is the longer side of that triangle, I'm going to put those 2 together. So see where these 2 corners came out. I'm going to take my hook and go underneath that knot and underneath the next. And I have my starting point in my corner. Now my stitching or my punching is pretty regular. As you can see, the stitches are sliding up and coming pretty close. That's excellent. But in case I put a little more stitches in one than the other, we'll adjust that as we go. So we get our yarn. Now before I get started with this part, I'm going to remove my example. I will have it nearby to guide me, as you would, so you could follow your pattern. But right now we're just going to pull it away. Here we go. And pull the yarn through. So you've got those 2 little pieces, little tails hanging out. We'll take care of those later. Right now I want to put a small knot right where those 2 knots are. They're hooked together. And now let's stitch them together. I'm going to go back into that same spot I just left. I'm going to pull the yarn through. I have a little loop. Pull the yarn through again. Loop on there. So I'm going to go to the next. I'm saying it's like little chains. It's like chains of yarn. And I just look for the chain that buddies up to the one that I'm at. And I'm always checking to make sure I can try to keep them even with each other. And I just move along. Let that tail get hidden. I pull through those 2. Okay, sometimes it might fight you a little bit, but just keep at it. And you can see how the little chains buddy up with each other. Okay, we're just going to go straight on down the next chain, and it's buddy right there. Pull this through, pull it through. You're doing the same stitch over and over and over. You get a little more confidence, you'll just look for the chain, pull through. I keep checking as I go along because I don't want to come to the end and have a big bunch of unmatched little chains there. So I want to make sure if I'm off a little bit, I can adjust. It looks like this side might be a little longer. So to take care of that, I'm going to come in on the same side on this. Excuse me, I'm going to take this side here that's longer and go back 1. And you won't really notice it in the stitching overall, but that helps make them buddy up better to each other. You just have to adjust as you go. I don't want to be at the end corner here and have a big old pile on one side or the other. And this is looking good. So I only had to back check once. I'm coming up to the end, and I had 4 stitches in that corner. So I'm going to come around the corner. I'm almost what you'd think was in. I'm going to go one more into that curve. And then I'm going to snip that. Pull this little tail through. And open it up. And you have your square. I'm stretching it out a little bit. Let's see, isn't that pretty? And you make enough of these squares and you line them up on your pattern. Then we start hooking the squares together. So let's do that. And look at that. Just a slight variation in color. But as you see, if you keep them to a certain size, they really work out well together. So what I'm going to do now is hook these together. I have to refer to my pattern for a moment to make sure this is the way I want them to set with each other. I believe this was up, and these two white ones made a triangle of their own. So now I have these. There's a bumpy side on the back. Okay, so we know that's the back side of the blanket. We put the two sides together. I'm going to flip them over on each other. And I'm going to hook these two together, just like I did with the triangles, only this time I'm dealing with the square. Here again, I'm going to come up to the end corner, look for those little chains, and I'll be keeping a close eye on this. Get my yarn and pull through. Okay, there we go. Make a little knot. I make these triangles and I put them down onto my pattern so that as I put these together, I'm putting them together in the right order for the overall design. So here we go. We've got, go under that same knot you just made and pull through, and you have a loop. And then I pull through. Okay, so we're going to start by finding those little chains. I'm kind of letting the tail disappear. I'm ignoring it and letting it disappear into these stitches. See, it's going to disappear. You have to look past it for a bit until you say, oh, that's far enough on that. I've got 4 stitches in. I think that's good enough. Let's take the rest of that tail off. And it's gone. Okay, now keep an eye as you go. And we're going to match these up the best we can, the little chains, till we get to the corner. And we'll do some adjusting there, but it all works out great. Show you what's happening here. See? We're getting ready to hook these 2 pieces there. Got these little tails. We'll take care of those later. They want to be in on it right now. So I'm going to come and find 2 chains. Pull up. Find 2 more chains. If the seam's a little bit haphazard, don't worry. It's going to all work out here. Wait, I think I had another little tag there. Another little tail there. Okay, so go under, find a chain, bring through, up, and I'm going to give a look-see because I think I want to do one more. See how these guys came together? I think I want one more stitch there. Go back to where I was, and I'm going to find one more pair. And done. I'm going to give that a snip. I'm going to make a knot there. And we're on our way to making our blanket. So what you'll do is you look at your pattern and you make your squares by taking the triangles, putting the edging around them with your crochet, and then you'll go along following your pattern and stitch them together. My pattern had 4 squares across and 4 down. And let me show you now how mine turned out. As you can see, let's see if I could find the spot where I had started. Oh my goodness, it's so soft and so colorful. Check this out. Now this is the back side of the blanket. How do I know? Because see all the little bumpy lines? So let's flip it over and show you the front side. And the part I was just working on was right up towards the top. You take your triangles and you make your squares, and then you take those squares and you come up with your design. Pretty cool, huh? But you know what? As beautiful as this is a child-size blanket. It's probably a little less than a yard. It took me about 2 weeks to get it all put together, but I would like to just soften it up a little bit by adding another edge of this pretty minty lime, this minty color. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to pick one end and I'm going to get my yarn and go around, and then you'll see the finished product. Here we go. We got the end. I'm just going to pick an end right there. I'm going to go start in that corner, and I'm going to go under just like I did all the others. I'm going to actually let this color meet the other color. It's going to disappear once I get done. Make a knot. Go under. Pull through. And here I go. All the way around. I'm going to find the chain and just simply come under like we did on all the other edges. Trying to let that tail disappear. This is just going to finish off the blanket in a very sweet way. Let's see if we even like it. Because if you don't, now's the time to change. Oh my gosh, see how pretty that's going to be? Because I thought this was a little too dark and I just wanted something brighter, a little softer. I'm going to keep going. So it's taken me about an hour to put the stitch around the edge of this blanket. A few more stitches here to go. Coming to the end. And I'm going to go under. Let's see, where am I going here? There we go. Now this is the spot where we came in. So I'm going to go back into that original stitch, pull up. And now I'm going to cut. And then I'm going to show you how I used fray check. There's the scissors to take care of my knots as I went along. So, you know what? I'm going to add, I want to connect these two spots right there a little more. I don't want to see any blue there. So I'm going to use a little bit of that tail and pull through. So, got that little tail there. I'm going to put the littlest bit of fray check right on the knot. And a free check is just a binder that fuses the fibers in the yarn. And it dries clear. And if you don't have a real big knot, you won't have a hard spot in the blanket as the free check dries. Then you could snip that right off, but I'm going to go ahead and hide it. I come back underneath the stitches I just did. And I'm just going to pull that tail through. Okay. Go into the chain. And eventually, give it a little bit of a tug to keep it loose. Eventually that tail, which is not going to be coming undone because the free check is helping to stop that knot from coming apart. And we're going to keep coming down here. I think that's far enough. The little tail has disappeared in that piece there. I'm just going to snip that off. Oh, it's gone. And let's see how this turned out. Oh, that's the bumpy side. So if you ever thought to take some squares and make them into triangles and then play around with the pattern till you got something that pleased you, well, check this out. Oh, I can back up a little bit. Wow. What'd you think? I am loving this. So if you like what you've seen here today, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you know when another episode of Tweaks with Tweek is coming along. Until then, fleece may be expensive by the yard, but if you get little bits of it and combine them all together, it's magic. I love it. See you again.